Hey there guys, welcome back. So I wanted to make this video for quite a while. We're gonna talk about how you can make your own waxed jacket.
Except for Carl Murawski, that guy keeps it real.
My buddy Carl
knows his stuff.
He does some incredible reviews. He's a solid guy. Make sure to subscribe.
All right, so let's get right to it. I've always liked wax jackets because they repel the water nicely. They acquire a nice patina over time. They just look cool. And I have a couple of very nice wax jackets that I love. However, I've always wanted to try this, and what better time to do it than now, where we're gonna start getting into the end of winter, which is always a little gross and just full of, you know, just weird weather, slush and rain and all that kind of stuff. Now the jacket that I want to use for this is this very old Carhartt that I have right here. I've had this since my apprentice days as an electrician, and I just love it. I've used it for so many years and jobs. I mean, there's like PVC glue on here from gluing together conduit. There are holes from, you know, probably walking between metal studs, and just wear marks. It looks really cool as is, and I like to use this now around the yard and even out sometimes depending on where I'm going. But the nice thing about this is that it's 100% cotton. It has all these really nice Carhartt triple stitched seams. It's built to last. It's just been wonderful, but I'd like to breathe some new life into it. I just really think that this color right here, waxed, would look really, really cool. Obviously, it'll be a little bit darker, but imagine that over time. I think that would look really, really great. Now, this is the iconic Carhartt duck canvas, and the interesting thing about duck is that it's very, very hard wearing, but they actually weigh this stuff with a numerical digit. So this, I think, would probably be maybe a 12 or so. It's a little bit lighter than their pants are. It's not quite as thick and as rigid as that. Although when this stuff does break in, it's pretty nice. I've had many, many pairs of Carhartt pants. So what do you need to make your own wax jacket? Well, of course, the first thing you need is a jacket to wax. And my recommendation would be that you choose one with all natural fabrics, whether it's cotton, wool, even linen. If you go with something with like a cotton poly blend, well, polyester does not really absorb anything. So you'll have a lot of just piling up of the wax. It won't really sink in. And that's the idea, is that you want this stuff to permeate and become a part of the jacket rather than just sitting on top and flaking off. That's not gonna help anybody. Now, as far as a wax goes, what are we gonna use? Well, I've seen a couple of different methods. One's even where people are melting wax and adding boiled linseed oil into like a solution and then painting it on with a paintbrush. That's really interesting. I'd like to maybe try that in the future, but for today, what we're gonna try is this right here. This is Otter Wax. I'm sure that you are familiar with this. This is wonderful stuff, all natural, very, very nice. It's beeswax, and then I think they use some sort of flower oils in here. It's all natural. You could really honestly probably eat it. So it comes in a couple of different forms. The one I have here is the small bar, which I hope will be enough. It almost looks like a bar of soap, and it really doesn't have much of a smell, kind of a nice like earthy, woodsy smell. But this is all you need. This, a little bit of time and a little bit of heat, and you have your own wax jacket. So let's get right to it. Let's try to wax this thing. Okay, so first of all, you're gonna wanna find a nice, hard, flat surface that's very sturdy. So I'm gonna use my old desk here, and you're just gonna basically lay it out. Try to keep it from, you know, wrinkling up on you, because that'll just get obnoxious. And the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna brush or lint roll the entire thing to get rid of any dirt, hair, fur, anything like that, because the last thing you want to do is work that into the fiber underneath the wax and make it look gross. Now the next step is sort of an optional one, and they say what you can do is warm up the garment to help the wax sort of sink in a little bit better and start melting a little bit sooner. It's not something you have to do because the friction of just moving this thing around will melt it quite a bit, but it still just might make the whole process go a little bit smoother. Now before you go whole hog and trying to wax whatever it is that you have, try it on a spot, maybe on the inside of the zipper, just to make sure that you like the end result, because depending on what color and what fabric, it may make the whole thing look totally different. So you want to make sure that you're okay with what it looks like. All right, then just go to town. All you have to do is start spraying this wax on the way you would color on something with a crayon. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna just start rubbing this thing onto the garment. I've seen people who say that you should rub it on directionally. I've seen people who say that you should rub it on both ways. In my opinion, if you're going both ways, it's probably getting the upper and the underside of all of these little fibers, working it in even more so. And also, if the quicker you get to go back and forth, the more it will heat up and start to work a little bit easier. When it's really cold and really dry, it doesn't want to absorb into the thing very well. So the best thing to do is start going and get a little bit of friction going so you can kind of build up that heat. You know what? Let's try another method. So this here is actually the Otter Wax Fabric Dressing. Essentially what it is wax that you melt down in a pot of water and then you apply it with a brush. And I thought this would be a lot easier because that bar was taking a lot of time and it really didn't seem to be sinking in as much as I'd like. I was only done with about half of the back and I went through about half of the bar, which just was not gonna last the rest of the jacket. So let's see how this works. Now, as you can see, it does seem to be absorbing a little bit more. It's definitely getting more wax on the garment, so that's good. But what you really need to do after you coat it is hit it with a hairdryer. This allows it to really heat up and actually soak into the jacket. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but hopefully the results are worth it. All right, guys, so here's the deal. I worked most of the evening. I went through that entire can of wax, and then I even brought my bar to try to finish up with that, and it still wasn't enough. I think that I underestimated how thirsty this fabric was because it really seemed to absorb a lot of the wax. It took a lot of wax to really permeate in and actually show a level of saturation. But I did get the front, the back, the collar, the shoulders, and part of the sleeves done. I'm actually gonna have to order another can of this wax, and I assume it'll probably take maybe half of that can to really finish this thing up the way it should be. So unfortunately, I don't have a finished garment to show you tonight, but I can show you what it looks like and what the rest of it will look like. So first thing is, it's definitely a lot stiffer. As you can see, it's not flopping around the way it was before. But it does have the ability to get that nice patina like that. You see how that has that really cool waxed finish? And this is something that I like. That's what I wanted to get out of it, is that really neat kind of, I guess, weathered look that you get only from waxed garments. It looks really cool. I think that looks awesome. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like when it's entirely finished. But as you can tell, the back side of this, I couldn't get any of the wax there, but on the front side I could, so I have to go back over it again. There's a lot of little spots that I missed and stuff, but once I do get it done, I promise I will do a follow-up and show you what the whole thing looks like. But as it's turning out right now, I'm actually very, very happy with it. It has a kind of cool, rigid feel to it now. It just feels tougher now. So the cool thing about wax fabric in general is that the way it came about, the way that this stuff started, you know, coming onto the radar as far as menswear goes, is originally sailors found that their sails would hold air better when they were wet. So they couldn't really keep them wet because obviously wind is blowing into them, but the fact that the wind wouldn't blow through the sail helped the boat go faster. So what they ended up doing was basically coming up with the first waxed canvas for their sails, which is pretty damn cool, and that was able to hold the wind and make their ships go faster. So this fabric has its beginnings in maritime, which is just really cool. I love things that have a really interesting beginning like that. So once I get this thing really finished up, I'll show you what it looks like, but I think right now you have a pretty good idea of what the waxed fabric looks like after using Otter Wax. It's pretty cool, and I can't wait to see it when it's finished and actually use it out, you know, when it's kind of inclement weather. So we'll see what happens, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through this whole thing. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.